Welcome to the Women Leaders Association podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. Be sure to tune in each week to hear an empowering message from the world's top women executives, trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and all-around fierce female leaders. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I will be taking you on a deep dive of each message to equip you with the principles, strategies, and tools you need to start crushing your goals, increasing your impact, creating work-life harmony, and did I mention have more fun? Because when you love what you do it better. The Women Leaders Association is the world's largest women executives association with over 30,000 women in executive and leadership positions who are committed to the development and advancement of women in the corporate arena. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association chapter, would enjoy daily podcasts, or you desire to become a part of the Women's Mastermind group near you, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
On today's episode, hear from Velma Knowles. Velma is a leadership coach, human behavioral expert, best-selling author, and host of Your Leadership Chat. Leveraging over 20 years of experience in science-based research, she helps organizations build a value-driven culture of belonging. Her work building the conservation legacy of the Bahamas has sparked her own six-figure philanthropic campaign to fund her U.S. college education. Velma enjoys photographing birds, bike riding, and pretending she likes to exercise. Welcome, Velma.
Hey, welcome back. We are so excited to have Velma with us today. Welcome, Velma.
Hey, Julianne. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone.
I'm so excited. Velma and I were just chatting before I hit record, and there's just those people that you connect with right away. And we were like, we're those people. No, I was about to do it too.
I know, right? You were going to do it too. Okay. We got that out of the way.
Yeah, I love it. So, Velma, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are now, being so involved in helping women, especially in leadership and what that entails. But take us back. Like, where did you start? How did you get that burning inside of you that you knew this is what you were meant to do?
Yeah. So, as we were talking about before we jumped on, I spent, and it may be a couple of years after, but we're going to say 20 years combined in the association world, in marketing and membership, growing membership for associations, growing their brand, and really marketing their products, the value proposition of the products. And during that time, I had opportunities like all of us do to get promoted because you're doing great work, woo, right? We've got these great campaigns. But what was missing during my whole journey was the fact that I wasn't growing as a leader myself. I was growing the organization. Mm-hmm. And I was tripping up. I had these blind spots. I didn't realize some of it, I kind of blame on the fact that, hey, you're born in the islands of the Bahamas. And so, there's this cultural thing. But then I started to realize that you have to take responsibility. It's you. And I had, good and not so good leaders point out things which had all great intentions. And I made a commitment to really know who I was, to understand who I am first and foremost, because I believe that you cannot give what you don't have. Yeah. And so you can't pour from an empty cup. And I realized that my cup was empty as a leader without those power skills that today are so much in demand, right? And there's such a gap. And so I took a personal mission to become a lifelong student. And every time I had the opportunity to go professional development, I jumped at it. And I, went down the tracks of the areas that I needed to grow and develop and really understand my value. Mm-hmm. Because I was seeking validation, like we talked about. I was seeking validation from the success of these marketing campaigns. And it was really, in essence, I was trying to find my value. Mm-hmm. And so today, where I am, taking that long journey and fast forwarding is today, the things that I searched for, the lessons I learned, the coaching and training I went through, the mistakes that I made, I use all of those today to help other leaders. I like to say I help women leaders and a few good men, to reach their potential, right? To learn and to apply first and foremost, understanding who you are and your value, and that you do have value, And so I've gone from marketing products and turning profits for associations, building their membership, to marketing people and helping them build better lives.
Oh, that's so good. And it's so needed. Me personally, having been in the entrepreneur space for so long and, being on big stages with thousands of entrepreneurs in the room and seeing the reaction to the phrase, which is tossed around a lot, you have to know your worth, know your value, and you charge your worth. And that has always made me cringy because you can't.
Right.
You can't charge your worth.
Right.
You are so much more valuable than any dollar amount that you can assign to what you're doing, and so I'm always trying to help people see that the value that you are and that you bring is really not related to the price. The outcome that you are helping lead these people to, that's where the price comes into play. And so I love that you are really focused on helping people understand their own personal value and what they bring to the table. And I think I read something that you sent me about how it's not just having a seat at the table.
Right.
It's being able to use your voice at the table. And that just gave me all the chill bumps because I'm like, yes, Velma.
No, it is. I'm of the philosophy that we need to show up, speak up, and shake up the world, but do that in a sense where you don't just have a seat at the table. And I think that's what happens is, and I've been guilty of it. We strive in the work environment to get that seat at the table, and we miss out on the opportunity of having the voice in the room.
Yeah.
And I think that's so powerful. And I want to help people understand their value so that they can feel, they can feel comfortable to say, I'm getting better. I'm going to be the best version of me. And I'm going to show up and I'm going to speak up and I'm going to shake up the world where I'm at. And I'm going to do it for the betterment of all, for others. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that. Because again, to me, I'm in this season where I don't want to sit down. I don't want a seat at the table. I want to be standing. I want to be speaking out loud. I want to be using my voice. Yeah. I feel like, especially now, there is a wave happening of oppression of women in all various forms. We're not going to get into all that today, Velma, but
please.
But it's a way to silence our voices. And I am so passionate about helping women to express their voice and express their message. And just like you're saying, it's not just a seat at the table. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I can feel your passion when you talk about it, which is so important now for us to bring that out, to truly, don't put under a bushel or hide what really is inside of you and that you want to express. And we're doing it with the greatest amount of respect and coming from a place of love. And I truly believe that, but you have to be passionate about it. We are the word for leader is literally means vision. You have to have a vision. That's what, when you research and you dig deep into what does the word leader mean, it means to have a vision. And we know without vision, people will perish. You will just wander around. I've been there, right? We have all been at a place where we didn't know where we were going to go. And without that clear vision of where you want to go, you don't have the passion, because you're like, you have to have that vision first, then your passion comes. And you talked about it, but you didn't say the word vision, but it's exactly what you're saying, and then you're like, and I have that passion for wanting to change and help women to speak up and to find their voice, and be comfortable with your voice.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. And, talking about the research of the leader and all that, you have a book. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness, you would go there. Well, yes. And so I am so I cannot believe this, that I actually have a book, because if you know me, for those of you that know me, you know that I'm from the islands of the Bahamas. That's why I have the permanent tan. I know most people think I'm out on the beach in Florida, but no, the permanent tan is from the islands of the Bahamas. And in the islands of the Bahamas, we have a British English.
Yeah.
And when you're in America, which I am now, right, you have to adopt this American English. So when I felt very called to write a book, The Valuable Leader. I thought, Lord, I am not the valuable leader. And so I say that to tell you that I came from the islands with the British American, and I am not what I would call a writer, but I am an author. And I was able to put my thoughts down and have someone help me, an editor. I hired an editor, and all she kept saying is, this is British English. This is American English. So
we use these and realize.
Yeah, in addition to writing the book for everybody, just so you know, I also got an education from the difference between British English and American English. Right. But yes, the book has been out since 2018. I'm very proud of it. And it has a number of stories in it of other valuable leaders that share how they uncovered their value and how someone believed in them. And my goal is that it will inspire leaders to be able, regardless of your walk of life, personally and professionally, to apply these 7 steps so that you will have greater growth in your life, greater influence, and greater value.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And you actually have a resource for everybody.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I one of the things that has helped me so much is really uncovering my blind spots. And so I would love to gift to everyone here. You can go ahead and get this resource, and I'll pass it on, and you can put it into your show notes if you like. Yeah. But it is 9 proven strategies that I've researched and applied to my own life that have helped me uncover leadership blind spots, so that I then had doors open and opportunities, and I was ready for them. I was ready for that at the time.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Because before we hit record, and you're talking about now you've kind of found yourself in this coaching realm as well, which you didn't really anticipate, but it just goes to show that when you are passionate about it and you are living the thing out, right. I think nowadays, especially when there's a coach for everything, there's a coach on every corner, there's a difference between knowledge of a subject and authority in the subject, because you are consistently living it out.
Right.
And that is what you are doing. And so that in itself just carries this energy that attracts people to you that know, like, yes, Velma gets it. I need to work with Velma. And so what has that transition into that part of your life been like for you?
It's been a journey, because there's not one ideal coaching client. I'll take you back to a story. I spoke at a member lunch meeting for a chamber of commerce, and giving out of the goodness of my heart. And I really wanted to help them. And I was able to speak on the book, and we were able to sell some copies of the book and do the autograph, which was great. And there were probably about 55 people in the room. So it wasn't big. It was back in 2018. Do you know that 8 months later, 8 months, I got an email from a woman in the room, a leader, a director of a department of 30 people. And she reached out and she said, I have, this, I wanted to talk with you. I have this difficult employee, not sure how to handle. It's actually a manager over some staff. And so we got on a call. And what she told me is that one of the stories that I told about how, having knowledge is knowing what to do, but having wisdom is applying what you know to do. Right. And it wasn't until I started to apply some of the lessons that I knew and that I was able to help others. And she said, that really resonated. So I'd like you to work with this manager and help her to see some of the struggles and the blind spots.
Yeah. And
it was interesting, because after like my second coaching call with this manager, I was like, I think I should call the director back and say, it's probably not a good thing, because you have to be willing to want to be coached. You have to have that mindset, right? Yes. And during that whole conversation, what ended up happening was not only did that manager embrace their true value and change, but the director hired me to coach herself so that she could remove some of her own leadership blind spots. And that was not something that I had, even thought of. But it fell into my lap, and it was something that I was supposed to do. And that's materialized into other training programs for them and assessments to help them understand their communication style and a whole bunch of things. But the big takeaway there to me was that sometimes we think that it's our team members, we as leaders, it's our team members, or it's
if
my
they
husband.
would just get it together.
Yeah, it's my husband, it's those kids, right? It's
right.
And it's all of these other people. And you have to sometimes just take the mirror and do the hard look. And and I credit that director, because she did that. She just looked and she said, leadership is an inside job. That's what I always say. And it starts with you. It might not be about you, but it starts with you. And so you have to set the direction and model the way that you want. And so kudos to her for seeing that. And it's been a wonderful ride.
That's awesome. So what did you say has been your, did you have a defining moment in your life where this became the thing for you? I'm a student of John Maxwell, and I'm a Maxwell certified, blah, blah, blah. But,
Gotcha.
he always says, one of the answers that he gives when people say, is there such thing as a born leader? And he's like, of course we're born.
Right.
Right. Like, we're not just robots. Of course we're born. All leaders are born. But to that point of, so many people wonder, what was the moment that you knew I am a leader? What was that like for you?
I love that question, because it makes me really go back to, I had a leader, and we were like sandpaper. You ever had sandpaper in your life? It's like that. Mm-hmm. Somebody just rubs you and you're just like, man, does this hurt? And so the leader, I remember he pulled me in the office, and I thought, okay, here we go. The shoe's going to drop. And he said, Velma Knowles, you are killing me. And I'm like, oh. He said, you do great work. You got great campaigns, but you got to work on your relationships. You got to get better at building stronger relationships, in order to be a leader that people want to follow. And I thought, well, people are following me, we're getting things done. Right. And so anyway, he said, well, here's what we're going to do. I believe in you. And so you're going to go to Dale Carnegie, and you're going to go to this course. And I thought, oh, great. I'm going to training. It's like a reward, right?
Right.
And, the lifelong student. And he said, yes. And the training is going to be for 12 weeks. And it's going to be from 6:00 in the evening until like 9 at night. And I'm like, what's my hours at night? It's not going to be on the, time away from work. I went to Dale Carnegie, and people go to Dale Carnegie most of the time to build their confidence in their public speaking skills. Well, Velma went to tone it down, to bring it down a little bit and to just manage your presence. Yeah. It was one night, and I was doing a presentation, because you would learn concepts. If you know about the Dale Carnegie, you learn concepts in the class, and then your homework is you go back and you practice. So when I would go back every day, the next day, I'd be like trying to practice what I learned. And my staff would say, okay, here comes a gentler kind of Velma. She's been to training, And it was interesting, because one night I went to training, and I had to give a presentation, or, you had to tell a story about what you had applied and learned. And at the end of that evening, what I didn't know at the time was that we were going to be asked as a class to rate the best speaker for someone that you felt has made the greatest impact, in the class. And that night, I won the award for that. And I say that with a lot of emotion because, I wasn't there to try to make an impact. I was there to try to not make an impact in others, but make an impact in myself to get better. I was all focused there. And what shifted in defining moment was, oh my gosh, when you turn and look at other people and you can do things to your actions are to help those people to be better, to, give in a way that lifts others up, it lifts you up. You know what I mean? And it was a big defining moment for me. And I was like, man, I've been missing this all along. I thought I had to be out in the front, but no, the true leader is shoulder to shoulder, with with your troops and with your family and with your friends and with your peers and with your leaders and that you report to, as well as the people that you're responsible for reporting to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I believe I've mentioned on this podcast before that, I have 6 children. And one of the things that I am like really trying to foster in my children is that you're not better than anybody else. Yeah. Like, no matter what, you do live a very privileged life. You just do. And I'm very grateful that, your father and I have worked so hard to be able to provide this for you, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, there's a great responsibility that comes with that.
Sure.
And as you were telling me that story, I just kept thinking of that scripture that, says, don't look at the speck in somebody else's eye when you have the plank in yours. And I'm like, man, how often do we do that? We get so focused on everything else that's going wrong, everybody else that has something going wrong. Right. And just like your experience, it's like, oh, it took that looking into yourself and growing in yourself. And really, that's what you were focused on. You weren't focused on what was going to be the outcome in that group and all of that. And that's when you really blossomed in that arena. And that's just so beautiful to me.
Yeah, no. And it's not ironic or coincidental because we don't believe in those things. It is truly the alignment of you and I, that same, message of, are you trying to take the, rod out, a speck out of someone else's eye? You're looking for that. Oh, this is what's wrong with you. Right. Let me take that out. Let me point out your faults. And then you've got a great big rod, telephone pole coming out of your own eye. And so that telephone pole to me is blind spots. And that's why I think it's so important that when you stop, and it's not being selfish, it's just really saying you for you to be the best leader you could be, you have to invest in you. You can't bypass that. Right. And so I think that we're actually, that same verse was on my heart at the time when my leader said, I want you to go to training. And I'm like, how are you taking the speck out of my eye when there's a rod coming out? And we do that, right? Yeah. And then so at that place, that's where I was. And then going and having the defining moment, as you coined it, really was this awakening of, man, you want to make an impact in the lives of others. You want to move from what success is all about to significance. Then, focus on what you're doing with a heart for others, not for what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in your story as well, you had the opportunity through that company that you were with to kind of sponsor you in that way. Yeah. And I just want to encourage any woman that's listening that's like, well, I don't have that. I don't have a company that's willing to pay for my, growth and personal development. Precious, invest in it yourself.
Exactly. Because that,
come on.
You have to. You can, the greatest mentors, and I will say this because I can feel the pain, when you're like, okay, that's great. You worked for a company, they did that. But after that, it was me. And so I would say that your greatest mentors are out on YouTube. They're in the bookstores. They're on the podcasts, right? I mean, there's some great people have been on this women's podcast. I listened to it and I'm like, wow, some powerful people here that have lived and have learned, and we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think your mentors, you don't have to spend the dollars, you have to invest the time.
Yes. Yes. And that is our most valuable and precious resource, because we're not getting that back. And so the time is passing anyway when you're in the car, hop on a podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Automobile University. That's what I call it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like you're saying, there is so much untapped knowledge and wisdom in a library. It's still a thing. They still exist, everyone. It is. And now when writers tend to publish their first book and they're doing an Amazon run in that first launch period, so many in the first 30 days, in the first 90 days will do a free copy. And it's like, you can get a huge library downloaded to your iPad, your computer, your phone for free. And to support these authors and to learn and grow. And again, it is that time investment. And Velma, what would you say has been your biggest ROI on your time in personal development?
I would say the biggest return on my investment is, I would say that the biggest return on my investment has been the fact that although I have gained greater awareness in my life of the things to do to get better and work on them, it wasn't until I put those things into action. So don't think that having the awareness is everything, because awareness does not equal elimination. Yep. Knowing it and not doing anything with it is nice to know. And so I think my biggest return is that I had the courage and in the face of fear, applied things that I learned. And I think I was telling you about it earlier. I was like, I did this year launch the Small But Mighty podcast. And I wear a Nike shirt, not that Nike is sponsoring it at all, because they're not yet, but I wear a Nike sports shirt because I was so afraid to do it. And I had another friend, a leader, who was talking to me. He says, let's just record right now. Let's do it right now. And I was in this Nike shirt, and I wear a different color Nike shirt because I remind myself, and I remind anyone that will hear this story, that, in the face of fear, don't forget everything and run, face everything and rise. Yeah. And I know you can, arise is something that you hold near and dear to you.
It is my favorite word. It is. And the story behind that, Velma, and everyone who's listening, is when I was a little girl, my dad would come in every morning and, flick on my light, and he would sing, rise and shine and give God the glory. But he would dadify it, be like, Julie told God, she said, so sleepy weepy. And like, he would just totally make it this like comical thing. It's time to go to schooly woolly, all of the things. And I didn't know that at the time he was seeding this arise mantra into my life. I didn't know how much I would need that later on in life, when I would go through this 5-year storm where it was like one thing after another, just trying to take me down. Yeah. And it was that belief that kind of was instilled in me that I wasn't even aware of.
Oh, yeah.
And so to all of those parents out there that are singing to their kids, that are reading to their kids, that are, just going for walks and having conversations, that is so significant. And don't undervalue or undercut that. It is so valuable. And you are just instilling so much wisdom into your children. And if not you, then it's going to be other people. Right. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Velma. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your message, for your mission. Again, I love being able to connect with you and just seeing your passion for living out your passion, which is
Well,
what
no,
are some-
it's been my honor. Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate everyone that's listening. And I really truly hope that there is some real words that have laid on their heart, on your heart, that you can use to arise and move forward to your dreams.
Oh, I love it, Velma. Thank you so much. Before we go, what is one last piece of advice that you would give to the woman leader right now who has the blind spot of fill in the blank?
I would say that to anyone that's out there listening, I would borrow from the concept that you are where you are today because of the things that have been opportunities in your life and obstacles, and they all have made you stronger. So believe in yourself and take the steps forward that you need to be the person you want to be in the future.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Velma, thank you so much. And again, we will have her contacts and her links and everything in the show notes, so be sure to check her out. She's just an amazing human. Thank you, Velma.
My pleasure. Thank you too, Julianne.
Yes, remember, if you are looking to connect further with the Women Leaders Association, be sure to check out womenleaderspodcast.com and see a chapter near you. Bye for now.